cosmetic techniques actually went on the Oprah Winfrey show. Oprah Winfrey. No, it's not wind, right? It's win. So she went on the Oprah Winfrey show and she talked about advanced cosmetic techniques. And so the reason she made it onto Oprah is because they were such an amazing business with fantastic artists. And some of those artists are still there to this very day. The artists are extremely experienced, and that's very, very important when it comes to permanent makeup. You always want to go to a reputable permanent makeup business. Don't ever go to someone who's in the back of a nail salon or a tattoo shop to get permanent makeup done. That is a big no-no. No. Yes, it may be cheaper, but it's really expensive, and I don't even know if it's possible to remove a tattoo from your eye. So let's say it turns out horrible. You're stuck with it when you're doing anything to your face. You always want to be careful what business you're going to. It's so important because there's a lot of back alley permanent makeup artists who do this sort of thing in nail salons and just places that you shouldn't be having someone put something permanent on your face. It's just not a good idea. This leads me to the next question I always get is, how much did I pay for my permanent eyeliner? So with advanced cosmetic techniques, they have a whole price list on their website. I will link their website in the description below. Obviously, this isn't sponsored, but I've always had a great relationship with them, and they have a quality service, so of course, I'm gonna tell y'all about it. So it's linked in the description. Whenever I asked them about getting permanent makeup, the first question they ask me is, do you want it on the top? So whenever I asked them about getting permanent eyeliner, some of the questions they asked me were, do you want it on the top and the bottom? I'm going to be using this later to show you my permanent makeup up close. So they ask me, do you want, there's a hair on it, gross. Do you want permanent eyeliner on the top and the bottom? Or do you only want it on the bottom or only want it on the top? And of course I opted to get it on the top and the bottom with a wing. You can choose whether you want a wing or maybe you don't want a wing. It's all up to you. I really like pointing, even though pointing's supposedly rude anyways. I feel very smart with this thing. It's like my magic wand. And the reason I'm telling you this is because that factors into the price. So let's say you want the top done. The top is going to be $200. And then if you want the bottom, it's going to be another $100. I believe believe I paid 200 or 300 for the top. And then if you want the bottom, they add on maybe another 100, something like that. So I believe they do it as a pair, but they are individually priced. All in all, the total price was about $500 for the top and the bottom eyeliner. So I just went on their website recently and they have their price list. They now charge $3.75 for eyeliner. And I'm not sure if that's for both top and bottom, or just the top or just the bottom. I don't think I saw separate pricing for the bottom or the top, but anyways, I'm getting way too into this and detailed. I'm sorry, not sorry. Some of y'all said y'all like it when I get really detailed. Oh, don't worry, I will. When it comes to permanent makeup, you don't just have to get eyeliner. They can do your brows, blush, lip liner, your full lips. They can shape your lips if you want them to do that. They also do scar and restoration work. Let's say if you have a scar or a birthmark that you really hate, they can go in, and because they're such amazing artists, they can fix something that you don't like. Let's say you have an ugly brown discoloration on your cheek. They can go in and cover that up with your skin tone color. So whatever your skin tone is, they can match it to your actual skin tone, and they can cover up any imperfections or discolorations on your face. And I find this to be extremely useful, especially for people who have scars that they don't like, or maybe a birthmark that you don't like. This is an extremely useful cosmetic tool, not just elective cosmetics, but reparative. Is that a word? We're gonna make it a word. Reparative cosmetics. So they also do permanent concealer for your dark circles under your eyes. This is an amazing procedure if you struggle with dark circles and you're just tired of spending all that money on expensive concealer. Why not spend that same money on permanent makeup and just have it on forever, right? I'm a bit leery about the concealer permanent makeup because let's say if your skin changes colors, I don't know if the permanent makeup is gonna blend with your skin, especially if you get a tan on your face. Will the concealer still be a lighter color? I'm not sure. Don't ask me that, but that is something that I would definitely consider. So now that you know where I got it done, how much I paid, let's talk about the actual procedure. Does it hurt? Can you feel the needle going in and out of your eyeball? So to answer your questions, it can hurt, but thank the Lord for lidocaine. So they take this lidocaine best part is you don't really feel it. It feels almost like you're getting your makeup done, except they're taking that eyeliner and they're just like pressing really hard against your eyeball. You don't really feel anything. It's mostly pressure. Now, since the procedure lasts about an hour, give or take, depending on if you get the top done or the bottom, my procedure took 1 hour. And the lidocaine started to wear off towards the end, and it kind of felt like when your skin is really agitated, as if you've been rubbing the same spot over and over. That's what it started to feel like, but it wasn't any type of sharp, horrible pain. Luckily, we were able to stop, and she put some more lidocaine cream on, and that helped. But I would say the worst part about it is mentally, because she tells you, don't pat my hand away in the middle of it because you think that I'm about to puncture your cornea. Don't touch my hand. So after the procedure, she gives me a mirror and asks if I would like any changes made. Do I want it thicker? Do I want a bigger wing? And I told her it's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. I wanted a wing, but I didn't want it to look like my actual makeup, you know. I still wanted to be able to cover it up if I wanted to. And just like a tattoo, it's extremely easy to cover up. Would I get it done again? I would absolutely get it done again. One of the main reasons I got it done to begin with is because I'm allergic to so many eyeliners, especially the ones that go on my waterline. So having the permanent eyeliner on forever is extremely convenient. I would absolutely recommend permanent makeup to anyone over the age of 18, maybe even a little older. I don't think you should make a decision to tattoo your face when you're too young, because what you like now may not be what you're gonna like 20 years from now. So I was around 23 or 24 when I got mine done, and I'm glad I waited till I was a little older, because if I was younger, I probably would have wanted it done like this. I'd be looking like Amy Winehouse or something. So it's very important that you make this decision as an adult and you're very, very sure this is what you want. So the next question is, does it fade? And can you get it redone? For some people, it absolutely fades. For me, it really didn't fade that much. It was extremely minimal, the amount it faded. were so swollen and they were crusted over. And in order for me to open my eyes, I had to go and wet my eyelids with warm water and get them to open. I know it sounds like a nightmare, but it is. I'm kidding. It's not that bad, but it can be very surprising. It's like something that a lot of people don't think about until it happens. And your eyes are gonna sting for the first couple of days. So just like a traditional tattoo, permanent makeup crusts over and scabs, and then it peels off to reveal the finished product, the finished tattoo. Tattoo, 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 tattoo. That's fun to say. Here I am without makeup. Obviously, I'm gonna be doing this portion of the video without makeup so you can see my permanent makeup in all its glory. I'm gonna be using this to trace and show you a better look at my permanent makeup. So let's zoom this baby in. And yes, I know my highlight is blinding. I know you're gonna ask me where I got that highlight. It's Jeffree Star Lick My Glit. It's so fitting for me. Anyways, starting on my top line from the inner corner, it goes from here all the way out to this little wing here. The permanent makeup artist did such an amazing job on the wing. It turned out fantastic. And some of you asked me, am I happy with the results? Some of you asked me if I'm happy with the results, and I'm over the moon happy with my results. I'm even in love with the results today, over 10 years later. So now let's trace the bottom. It starts from the inner corner, and it's just beneath my waterline. Start here. From here, all the way out, connecting to the tip of the wing. Let's do that again. From here, all the way out to the tip of the wing. It starts in the inner corner and goes all the way out and connects to the tip of the wing. Look at that. It doesn't matter what angle. I feel like the wing and everything is all connected so gracefully. You know how sometimes eyeliner can look kind of jagged from another angle and just not as even? That has never been the case with my permanent eyeliner. It's always looked so good from all angles. Now let me show you the bottom again. So it goes from the tip of the wing all the way to the inner corner. see the wing here. It looks just as perfect as the other one. So let me start from the inner corner here and trace it all the way to the tip of the wing. All the way to the tip, like that. Now from the tip all the way to the inner corner, like that. Now let's do the under eye. You can clearly see how well the line was drawn from all angles, just like the other. Look at that. Not a bad angle. The artist did a fantastic job. Now let's trace the bottom. Let's start from the tip of the wing. All the way to the inner corner. From here, all the way to the tip of that perfect wing. Look at that. Looks so good. And look how this eyeliner looks like it was done a year ago. You may be surprised to believe that this eyeliner is over 10 years old with 0 touch-ups. Absolutely no touch-ups. Start here and go all the way to the inner corner like that. Look how opaque that permanent eyeliner is, even after 10 years. No touch-ups. Look at that. Looks beautiful. So one of the questions I was asked was, am I happy with it? Absolutely, I'm very happy with it. I mean, look how perfect it is. Look at that wing. Immaculate. One of my glitter critters had asked me if my permanent eyeliner had faded. I want you to tell me, does it look like it's faded to you? It looks almost exactly the same as it did when I first got it after it healed. Of course, it did fade subtly, but nothing that was outrageous. But it's definitely held up a lot better than some tattoos I've seen. I feel like the fact that this skin here is so delicate, it tends to hold on to the ink a lot it is very sensitive. It's also a lot more dense at the same time. And what I mean is, there's not any huge skin pores or anything on the eyelid. It's just extremely fine. I hope that makes sense. Whereas the rest of the body, such as other parts of the face, have huge pores, especially me. I'm like hating on myself at the same time. My point is, it's almost like if you have large pores and you have a tattoo on your body where there's a lot of pores, I feel like that causes the tattoo to fade a lot quicker because it's almost like your own body is absorbing the ink through your pores. I honestly don't know if that's a thing, but it's just a random observation. So I'm gonna start from the inner corner of my top lid and slowly trace all the way out to the tip of the wing. Now for under the eye, from the tip of the wing all the way to the inner corner below the waterline. I also want to mention that the reason you can't tattoo the actual waterline is because it's constantly lubricated and therefore the ink would not stick. The permanent makeup artist told me that some people have gotten it done on the waterline, but because this area is always lubricated, it caused the black ink to turn gray, and it eventually disappears and is absorbed by the body. So it's not like you can't get it done, which I don't understand who would want to go through that to get it done, because ouch. I don't even know if they could put numbing on it that well, because it would just come right off. Could you imagine having a tattoo needle piercing your waterline 1,000 times in a minute? I cannot, and I wouldn't want to. That's nightmare fuel. Ouch. I'm happy to report that the wing is not faded or looking incomplete due to fading. It still looks really good. And I am so happy about that. Now, if it were to fade, of course I can go back to have touch-ups, and a lot of people do. I haven't went back for touch-ups because I have not felt the need to do so. But the good thing about touch-ups is touch-ups are not as expensive as the initial procedure. You tell me, does it look faded or does it still slay? I think it still slays. I had minimal fading with mine. It stayed pretty black for a very long time, and as you saw from that clip, it's still extremely opaque for how old it is. Over 10 years old, and it still looks pretty darn good. you swim in the pool, it's always going to be there. And other things that permanent makeup can help with is, as I said, scar cover up. This can be anywhere on your body, not just your face. Or if you have discoloration, if you want those dark circles gone, maybe you want to make your lips look a little bit bigger with some sort of permanent lip liner. They do that as well. They do everything. I think permanent makeup is an amazing cosmetic tool. And the best part is it's easy to cover up. So the next question is it the same as a tattoo that you would get in a tattoo shop? How is the healing process in permanent makeup versus a tattoo? Unfortunately, I can't answer this because although I have permanent makeup on my face, literally a face tattoo, I've never gotten any other type of tattoo on my body. So I've never gotten a tattoo in the traditional sense. I was a rebel and I said, I want a face tattoo first. But yeah, I believe it is similar, but you'll definitely have to Google it because I can't tell you from experience. Another question no one asked, but I have been asked this in the past, is permanent makeup the same as a tattoo? Some people would say yes and some would say no. It is a bit different of a process. I believe the needles are smaller when it comes to permanent cosmetics, and permanent makeup tattooing actually has a name. It's called microderma pigmentation. Microderma pigmentation. It's a long word. Google that if you want to read more about it. But supposedly there is a slight difference, but some would say it's the same. The next glitter critter question I got was, does it affect my lashes? Did the tattoo process ever interfere with my lashes, especially lash density, that sort of thing? Absolutely not. I did lose some lashes though, due to the scabbing, but other than that, never affected my lash density. So the last question I always get, probably the most common question I get asked, do you regret it? Do you regret getting permanent makeup? Actually, no, I totally lied. This is not the most common question I get. I'll get to that at the end as the official last question. But this question is second place. Do I regret it? And do I ever wish I never got it? At this point in my life, I do not regret it. I know I had made a video on Glitter Forever 17 a while ago. It was called Why I Regret Getting Permanent Makeup. And the only reason I made up a bunch of stuff about it is because it was a very popular question and I was trying to make money. I was mostly sometimes my lash line or my permanent makeup itches. And I've also read that regular tattoos itch too. Let me know if that happens if you have a tattoo. Other than that, it's been smooth sailing. I've got my little pointer again for this last question, which I get this question on TikTok every single time I go live. And the question is, do you still have your permanent makeup? Just listen to the question. Do you still have your permanent, keyword being permanent, makeup? Well, and usually what I say is, since it is permanent, meaning forever or infinite, yes, I still have my permanent makeup. I find that really hilarious. And again, it wasn't really painful to get it done, but it was agitating. That's the word that I would use. Agitation around the eye. And the recovery process isn't very fun, but you're back to normal in about a week or so, and the scab peels off. You have a lot of black scabbing that falls onto your face for about a week, and then it's all good. It was a very positive experience, and I would totally do it again. I'm even thinking about going back and getting it done again, and maybe even thicker. So I'm gonna be answering more questions that I was asked on the previous permanent makeup Q&A, where I traced my permanent eyeliner. I will be tracing my permanent makeup once again in this video while answering questions and talking about some of the lesser known facts that you may not know about permanent makeup. Not just that, but a little bit of permanent makeup history, fun facts, and other permanent makeup procedures you didn't even know existed. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know some of these existed, and I'm questioning why most of you know, I'm not a professional at anything. I just make YouTube videos. But I do know a thing or two about permanent makeup. Permanent makeup. This is like my magic wand. I kind of like it. So let's start with the first question. The first question I always get is, why did you get permanent makeup if you cover it up or still apply regular makeup on top of it? And the answer to that for me personally is I used to have major allergies to some mascaras and eyeliners. So that's the reason why I decided to get permanent eyeliner. So I wouldn't have to apply it as often as I wanted to wear eyeliner, something like that. And I just liked the way it looks. I just like the way my eyes look with eyeliner. So that's the reason I got it. Plus, some more generalized answers to this question would be, some people out there have allergies to makeup, like myself, but then there's people who may live in a warm climate, and with permanent makeup, you're not gonna sweat it off as easily or at all. So if you're in swimming or you sweat a lot, maybe you go to a lot of pool parties, you will always have permanent makeup on, no matter what. Another reason why some people may get permanent makeup, especially permanent eyeliner, would be the fact that maybe they don't know how to put on eyeliner. Maybe they're not into makeup. They don't care to learn, or they're just really lazy, but yet they like the way it looks. So they decide, hey, this question on my previous ASMR permanent makeup Q&A, and I've also received this question on the OG permanent makeup video, which I forgot to mention. I will link that in the description as well. I'm sorry, I just really love pointing. I'm gonna point at you the whole time, so get used to it. So this next question is, what are other uses for permanent makeup? What else can you use it for besides to make you look pretty? Well, I guess all of it is to, what's the word? To enhance your natural beauty. You can also have permanent makeup applied for medical reasons. Yes, medical reasons. It's not as serious as you may think. I'm not talking about a liver tattoo or something. That would be extreme. But I'm talking about some people who have close-up of my permanent makeup without all of this makeup on. I'll show you that in just a minute. I wanted to answer some questions first. So other reasons besides scar cover-up are skin tone evening. Yes, and that's yet another thing that I got done. I had a bad piece of jewelry turn my nose green, and it basically tattooed it because the piercing was open, like an open sore, and the ink or the green jewelry color got into the open wound and essentially tattooed a green dot around my piercing. And again, I'll show you what it looks like in just a minute. But those are some other reasons some people would opt for permanent makeup, along with covering up maybe a birthmark they don't like, or if someone has alopecia and they don't have brows. That's another great reason to get permanent makeup. The next question I always get is, can permanent makeup be removed, especially permanent eyeliner? That's a really great question. And because I got it, I went ahead and researched this. I was curious, could something like permanent eyeliner be removed, especially with lasers? And the answer is yes. They use lasers to remove permanent eyeliner. I was surprised having lasers so close to the eyeball, but they do it. It's a very expensive procedure, and it's also very tedious, and it takes a long time, probably like multiple sessions. So there's laser removal, but there's also saline removal. I was confused. Did they just dump eye drops on their eyelids and hope for the best? No. What they do is they put real saline, just like you would think, saline solution, into a microderma pigmentation tattoo gun, and they reinsert the saline solution on top of, let's say, the eyeliner pigment, and the saline solution goes under the skin and targets the pigment and breaks it down. And the next time you scab over, because everyone scabs over after they get microderma pigmentation, the pigment actually comes out in the scab. So the saline breaks down the pigment, and once it scabs, the pigment comes out in the scab. which is the exact same thing. When I had my permanent makeup done, whether it was the eyeliner, the nose, the brows, I always went through a process where the permanent makeup artist would put a numbing cream on whatever part she would be working on, and it would sit on that spot for about 30 to 45 minutes before the procedure. So the whole process takes a pretty long time when you calculate that in, but I can assure you it's worth it. And it's kind of like when you go to the dentist and your cheeks are numb. That's how it feels. Like your skin is literally numb. You can pinch it and you shouldn't feel any pain whatsoever. No sharp pain. And then the procedure begins. So there was a point during my permanent eyeliner procedure where it did start to hurt, but it felt more like an agitated part of my skin, as if you were just to rub one part of your skin until it got red and inflamed. That's kind of what it felt like. Kind of like if you were to rub sandpaper on your skin. It would hurt, but it's not like horrible pain, right? Well, I reached that point probably about 20 or 30 minutes into the procedure, and the permanent eyeliner, top and bottom, takes about an hour and a half, I would say. And towards the middle, I started to feel some agitation, some pain. So we had to stop and put more of that cream on and wait, and then go back to the procedure. So because of that, it can take a while to get your permanent makeup done. But that's really important that your permanent makeup artist takes her or his time when doing this. If you have a permanent makeup artist that starts shooting up all the red flags, like trying to rush through everything, get out. Don't ever get this procedure done in the back room of a nail salon or a hair salon. That is not a good idea. You ain't gonna look pretty later, let's just say that. Make sure your permanent makeup artist takes her time. Speaking of your permanent makeup artist taking her time, this leads me into another piece of this puzzle of permanent makeup application that I want to talk about, and that is pigmentation migration. Pigmentation migration. This happens when the permanent makeup artist tries to rush through the procedure. So pigmentation migration is when the pigment spreads to other parts of the skin besides the intended application target. So this can create, of course, like a blurred look to the final product. It could spread out and be like a blob apart from your actual permanent it's exactly what you would think it is. So the permanent makeup artist is, again, they need to be a professional to do this, because simply mixing up the pigment that matches your under eye skin. So it's very important they know what they're doing when they mix the color. Now this particular permanent makeup is more semi-permanent because it only lasts for about 3 to 5 years. Permanent concealer under the eye doesn't last as long because most people have more oily skin on this part of the face, and the more oily the skin, the least likely your permanent makeup is going to stay for a long period of time. I feel like this could be a good thing that permanent concealer isn't that permanent, because I've seen some botched permanent concealer. But back to the procedure. Well, I'm going to get into that in just a minute. So, when a professional does really good permanent concealer, the whole goal is to brighten up the under eye. They're going to mix up a color to cancel out those dark circles and brighten up your under eye area. It's a thin layer of pigmentation that doesn't alter the skin tone as much as you would think. So it looks right. So it's almost like your skin shows through it a little bit, but it also cancels out those dark circles at the same time, if done correctly. That's why you have to go to someone who specializes in permanent concealer, because it is a whole other ball game. It's a completely different thing. Blending that in. And like I was saying about the botched permanent concealer, if it's done wrong, it could come out looking blotchy, uneven colors, and let's say you get a tan, your permanent concealer is gonna stay really bright, and of course the rest of your skin is gonna get darker. You're definitely gonna see that bright pigment under the eyes. Now, I don't know if this is a given or if this is something that's you should expect if you get a tan with permanent concealer. I didn't read that much, but a real professional permanent makeup artist will ensure that it's faded out properly to where if that happens, it won't be as harsh. So it's very important a professional does it. I can't stress that enough, because it's your face we're talking about here. Can't stress that enough. So now let me show you my permanent concealer, which I'd also like to mention. I have gotten a tan on my nose before, and I never saw my permanent concealer absolutely no touch-ups, and most people would go back for multiple touch-ups during that time. It's really only supposed to last for about 3 to 5 years. My permanent eyeliner has lasted over 10 years with minimal fading. I can't be more happy about that. So another part of my face has permanent makeup. It's not something I talk about often, and that is my nose. So my nose has a little tiny bit of permanent concealer on it. My permanent makeup artist actually mixed up a skin tone color to match the skin around this old nose piercing, and she applied the permanent makeup around the whole of this piercing. And you're probably wondering why she did that. The reason is I had a cheap nose ring that I kept in my nose for a long time, not realizing it was turning green. The nose ring was supposed to be made of sterling silver. Turns out it was made of cheap metal that turned the nose piercing green. The darkness from the green was so much more prominent before. Although you could still see it, it looks amazing compared to what it used to look like. So here is another look, a little bit closer, of my permanent eyeliner, which I'm very happy with. I think it turned out incredible. It starts from here and goes all the way out into a perfect little wing. I really love the way the wing is very subtle. It's perfect. Look at it. Then I also have it on the bottom part. It goes from here all the way to the edge to meet that little wing. Look at that. It meets see how well both eyes match one another, right? If I were to get permanent makeup on something else on my face again, I would most likely get my lips done. I've always wanted to get something to just enhance the bottom half of my lips. Because usually when I do my makeup, I'll take a lip liner and put it in the shadow of my bottom lip to make them look a bit bigger, even though I have really nice full lips already. Now, let's get back to the rest of the video. Now let's talk about some of the lesser known permanent makeup or microderma pigmentation procedures, but have recently come into popularity. So besides the permanent concealer, permanent freckles, which really aren't that permanent due to the oils in the skin, the oilier, that's hard to say, the oilier, that's hard to say, okay? Your skin is, the quicker microderma pigmentation pigment is gonna fade. So, for some people, I guess for me, for instance, my eyes aren't as oily, so my permanent eyeliner has stayed intact. But for some people, it fades away within a few years. That's why a lot of people go back to have it touched up over time. Another procedure that's very mind-boggling to me is permanent contour. Yes. So if you want those cheeks to be chiseled, you can actually get permanent contour to chisel out your jawline or elongate your face, which, I don't know about getting contour here, but some people actually do get permanent contour. I've also seen people get permanent contour on the nose to help straighten out the nose. So maybe you have a crooked nose or something like that, or you don't like the shape and you normally use makeup or contour to even it out. That's pretty much what permanent contour aims to do. And if you look it up, it's actually pretty good looking. But again, I would be concerned about tanning. I wouldn't want, I keep making a puppet show here with my hands, sorry. I keep making shadow creatures here. I have a light sitting on my table to shine on the background, and I keep doing this, sorry. They getting a little out of hand with the permanent makeup procedures nowadays. I've also heard of permanent beauty marks, like Marilyn Monroe. So we touched on permanent concealer, contour, freckles, beauty marks. Of lips look fuller and more defined. Not as much as the color, like coloring them in like lipstick. It's more just to enhance your lips or to even them out. Maybe you don't like your Cupid's bow, or you wish the bottom part of your lip was bigger. That's what lip blushing aims to do, is to enhance your natural lips and make them look prettier. I've seen some really pretty lip enhancements, and then I've also seen some bad ones. I would probably get something like that. That would most likely be the next procedure I got done, was to just enhance the fullness of my lips. But I don't plan to do that anytime soon. I always say when I start to look super ugly, that's when I'm gonna start getting cosmetic procedures. Until then, I'm cool with how I look now. I wish more people were like that, because so many people ruin their natural beauty with these new, fad, ridiculous procedures. Kind of like that one where they called it like threading or something, where it was like cat eye threading, where they lifted, I don't know, they like lifted the eye up with a string or something. That was like a while ago, but a lot of people had it botched, and a lot of young people keep messing with their faces. And if you're a young person, don't fuck with your face until you get old like me, because you're gonna look old way before you should start looking old. Leave your damn face alone, young people. I left my face alone. That's why I still get compliments like, oh my gosh, you don't look like a bimbo Barbie who's gotten fake lip fillers. Like, don't get lip fillers, children. Stop. You're stupid, okay? You're too stupid to make these decisions. Anyway, the most scary is probably permanent highlighter. Yeah, there is permanent highlighter. I don't know what people are thinking, but I guess if people are gonna pay for it, they gonna come up with a way to do it. And unfortunately, it's a thing. So let's move on to money. How much does this stuff cost? The most expensive procedure that I've researched is something that I've never even thought about, but now I would totally get this done, and it's called, what the hell is it called? Let me look at my notes. It's called scalp pigmentation. So basically, if you're starting to bald, let's say right here, I've noticed my hair has started to get thinner right here. So basically, they'll go in with the microderma pigmentation, and they'll put these little tiny dots that look like hair, and they fill in parts of your scalp. So if you're balding, or maybe you're completely bald, they will do an entire head of essentially fake hair, and it's incredible. If it's done right, it looks real, especially for a lot of the women out there who's had it done. Let's say you see how some of my scalp is like white. Basically, they will fill it in, and all of this will look like it's filled in with hair, and you can't even tell that it's a tattoo. It's incredible, and it's so good for people, especially women. I know men go bald, but it's so much worse for women. Our hair is so important to us, because the scalp pigmentation can take so long. This is the most expensive procedure in the world of microderma pigmentation. So it can range from $2,500 all the way up to $7,000 in some cases. As far as permanent makeup goes, it's between $500 and I would say $2,500 for a full face. So if you get a full face of everything, that would be the only reason it would get into the thousands. But for the most part, like for my eyeliner, I paid about, I think like $500 or $600 for the top and the bottom, which for something that is as nice as what I got is a pretty good deal. This one is gonna be kind of similar to the first video that I did on this topic, because y'all loved that one so much, which is also why I brought back a favorite of yours. And here she is, Mrs. Rhinestone Dotting Tool. It's kind of cold at the tip too, because it's metal. I had no idea what this thing was in my first video, but a lot of you brought me up to speed really quick. Y'all said you use this as a rhinestone dotting tool to place rhinestones. That's totally my vibe, so I kind of like that. Like I said, this video is going to be similar to the very first permanent makeup tracing video. And the reason being is I'm going to be doing even more tracing with the dotting tool. But I'm also going to be showing you how I enhance my permanent eyeliner. This is something I do when I don't feel like putting on a full face of makeup. I'll just add to it. I'm going to be showing you all the ways I do that, because I always get this question, like, Breland, why do you always personal video message for you or a friend, a special occasion. Now, get your sleep mask, get comfy, fluff your pillow, and let's get started. Let me take off all of this makeup so you can see my fresh, clean face, and we'll do a little permanent makeup tracing without the makeup on. So here I am with a fresh, clean face. So let's begin with a little bit of tracing first. So I'm just gonna start by tracing from the tip of my permanent eyeliner all the way to the inner corner. From the tip of that little wing there. See that little wing? I know it's tiny, but it's there. Look at that. I'm gonna trace from there all the way to the inner corner of my eyelid. And that's just the top. Let's start from the inner corner and softly trace to the center and out to the very tip of the wing. It's a very tiny little wing, I know, but it's definitely there. I know I have a hooded eyelid, so I kind of have to maneuver to where you can see better, because if I just look straight at the camera like that, it's really hard for you to see. So I have to kind of know my angles. Please bear with me. I'm gonna start from the inner corner here and slowly trace slowly trace lightly to the inner corner. Start from the inner corner here and softly and lightly drag the dotting tool across the bottom up into that little tiny wing right there. It feels very soft and relaxing. I hope you're relaxed too. Start right here and slowly trace all the way to the inner corner. So now I'm gonna do a little bit of face tracing, starting from the inner corners of my lid and tracing all the way out to the tip. Feels so nice. Sometimes when I want to fall asleep faster at night, I will stroke my face or my hair. And even though it's me doing it, it's still very soothing to me. It's self-soothing. I also tried something new with my brows today. I used a brow tattoo tint. Nearly ripped my fucking eyebrows out though. So much of my brows are that tattoo and not actually filled in. I only filled in maybe a little tiny bit with makeup. So that leads me to my first enhancement of my permanent eyeliner. And try tracing it a little bit with my nails because I really like my nails. Temu. I think I paid like $1.37 for them. And I thought they were perfect for spring. One way I do my makeup, which helps to enhance my permanent eyeliner, is I'll ensure not to cover up my permanent eyeliner with foundation, so that way it pops a lot more. It's actually really easy to cover up, which is why I have to keep foundation and powder away from it. That's what I've done today. With any tattoos, it's so important to exfoliate to make them scrubby, like my scrubby gloves that I use to wash my body in the tub, because you have to be very careful. Obviously, it's your eyes, it's not like exfoliating your ass or something, so you have to be very careful. And I noticed it made my permanent eyeliner look way better. See? And the next thing I did was I moisturized. So moisturizing your tattoos is important. Sometimes I moisturize with just regular body lotion. Of course, I'm very careful. I use an unscented body lotion to moisturize, and sometimes, if I really want my permanent makeup to pop, I'll add a little baby oil or Vaseline on top, which is, I want to show you. I'm going to add a little Vaseline to it, and you'll see that it definitely makes the line and the color stand out more. So I've got a little bit of Vaseline on this Q-tip, and I'm going to apply it. You'll see it definitely helps to moisturize, make it pop. See how it's a little bit more shiny compared to the other one. I just wanted to show you how a little bit of lotion or Vaseline can make a huge difference. I mean, look at that. Just that little sparkle can help brighten it up. Right? Just simply brightening and making the permanent makeup sparkle a little bit really helps to enhance it. Of course, I wouldn't want my eyelid to be super oily or anything, so I'll probably wipe a little bit off gently, because I don't want oily looking eyes. Slowly rub the Q-tip, or cotton bud, as they call it in the UK. Just slowly wipe that excess Vaseline off. Just to give it a bit of moisture next thing I'm gonna do to enhance it and make it pop is to add a little bit of highlight around it. Just mix two of these. So highlighting, let's say, my brow bone, my inner corners, is just gonna help bring the look together. It's gonna look really nice with it. Just like that. I'll just do the brow bone for now, making sure to not get any on the permanent makeup. I love me a little highlight in the inner corners. What do you think? Looks cute, huh? Now, to really enhance my permanent makeup, I'm gonna use this heated eyelash curler. And this is really just gonna give a little boost to my lashes and my lash line in general. I actually got this heated lash curler on Temu a long time ago, and it still works, shockingly. Of course, I haven't really used it that often. You can definitely see that the permanent eyeliner is so close to the lash line, but it's not quite on, like within my lashes. It's a little bit, but there is a separation. Do you notice that? Either way, it's really gonna pop when I use this. It gets fairly warm too. Not as hot as, like a hair curler or anything, obviously. But it works pretty good. I'll show you. And I'll just lift it up like this. And it's almost like, what is that called? Lash. Look at that. Wow, that did absolutely nothing. Or did it? I can't see. It reminds me of when they do that heated lash treatment that just tight line as much as I possibly can. And it really helps to give a bit more. So let me do this side as well. You can really see it too, right here. Finished this one because I got kinda spooked. Oh shit, it scares me. Because it's so sensitive. I don't do this often, so that's why. You have to do it with my eye shut, basically. So that's how I enhance it. Now, if you notice, I'm kind of just building up from like really light, subtle type things to more intense accents or enhancements. Another thing I do is, of course, to enhance the one below, just add a little bit to my actual waterline. So I'm just going to add a little there, and it really just fills everything in and makes it look more put together. Let's do the same on the other side. Just lightly tug. See, and that really enhances everything without actually having to cover it up. And I have not covered it whatsoever. I'm using it, I'm enhancing it, I'm actually using it. I know a lot of you ask me, why did you get permanent eyeliner if you're just gonna cover it up? I don't always cover it up. I only cover it up when I want a more intense look. That's it. And this is more of just working with what I got, enhancing my already beautiful features or permanent eyeliner. Next thing I do to enhance my permanent makeup, I'm just gonna allow it to kind of sweep over the tips make sure my lid is not oily. Okay. See, now that is just enhancing what I already have. Next, I'm gonna be using these pretty natural looking lashes to enhance my lash line even more, as if I already didn't enhance it enough with the globs of mascara. The best part about these falsies is they have an invisible lash line. It says here, thinnest band ever. So again, it's not gonna be covering up my permanent makeup. If anything, it's just gonna enhance it. So I'm gonna pop these on off camera and finish the look. So here I am with the lashes on. They're not on perfect, okay? Again, I don't really have a mirror in here because I can't fit a mirror in here. But there are these really beautiful natural lashes. And you can see I never covered up my permanent eyeliner. It's still peeping through, even though I have lashes on. I think they look pretty good. Very natural. So one more thing I would do to kind of enhance everything would probably be to maybe add on to this wing a little, or perhaps add a little bit of brown eyeliner around the edges of my lower lash line. Just smudge it a little bit. Just makes my eyes look a bit bigger. Last, I'm gonna